Welcome everyone to the 119th Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Demi Lovato and Wilmer Valderrama. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Adeline and it's so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a synastry chart looking at the personal planets, signs, aspects, and if birth time is available, house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us weekly, and let's get right into this one. Starting off with the sun, we have Demi's sun in Leo and Wilmer's sun in Aquarius. They have significant differences, and Wilmer is drawn to Demi's warmth. I mean, the first thing I'm thinking of significant differences in terms of age gap, particularly for the age they were at the time, I should say the age that Demi was at the time. They benefit from each other's attitudes and insights, and Demi thinks Wilmer should put in more effort here. Demi is drawn to Wilmer's intelligence. Demi's sun overlaid in Wilmer's third house. It's a comfortable atmosphere, and Demi thinks Wilmer is brilliant. So again, I assume it's that sort of intelligence thing she's thinking is brilliant. Enjoy talking about their days, and Wilmer feels smarter around Demi. I'm not obsessed with this particular note, knowing the context around everything. Demi thinks Wilmer is predictable, and Demi sees Wilmer as someone with good common sense. Wilmer's sun overlaid in Demi's sixth house. They are productive together. Wilmer is submissive. I mean, not to be mean or anything, but you know, Demi is the more successful one, I would say, particularly, I mean, in the current, day and age, and when they were going out, Demi was definitely very successful. So I assume in that way he would be a bit more submissive. Work is a strong theme here, and it's a boss-assistant relationship, okay? Demi's sun is square Wilmer's Uranus. Wilmer changes and challenges Demi's life. Yeah, it's not predictable or stable, and separation occurs and causes strain. Wilmer feels trapped by Demi over time, and the relationship can start and end suddenly. I mean, I'm pretty sure the relationship was confirmed suddenly once Demi turned 18. I'm pretty sure it was one of those weird ones in Hollywood where just as soon as, the younger one turns 18, the relationship, they've suddenly fell in love, blah blah blah. So I don't know how they ended things though, but I'm pretty sure that's how the relationship suddenly started. They can rely on each other in the long term, and Demi grows tired of Wilmer's inconsistency. Demi initially finds Wilmer attractive and appealing, so I seem the intelligence thing appealing. And obviously initially so, because I mean they've ended things, very well known. Demi's sun are Trine Wilmer's Neptune. It's tolerant and forgiving, and there's a romantic and spiritual bond. Demi strengthens Wilmer's ego. I'm not obsessed with some of the notes we're seeing thus far, considering the context, and them being combined together as well, not my favorite. They're attuned to each other's feelings, and Wilmer inspires Demi to be creative. Wilmer's sun is square Demi's moon. There's a basic misunderstanding, and there are practical disagreements. Demi sees Wilmer as too rational and selfish, which he could kind of see as the intelligence thing of the rationale. Wilmer sees Demi as too sensitive, and there is general discontent. And Demi may feel resentful towards Wilmer over time. We're seeing again on Demi's end, there seems to be deterioration. And I don't think this is any surprise, because Demi has spoken over the years about this relationship and how resentful she is of it. Wilmer's sun opposite Demi's Mercury. It's a great intellectual relationship, which, I mean, we have been seeing that Demi does find Wilmer quite intelligent and all of that, so that does seem to be quite significant here. Misunderstandings occur, we're seeing it again, and Wilmer finds Demi too analytical. This might be reaching it a bit now. I feel like this could be potentially his stance on things now, how he sees Demi now. Because I feel like it is a very common thing for predators, for lack of better words, to be quite, accusing victims of being analytical, you're looking too much into things, you're being very picky, that's not, how it is, blah, blah, blah. In that way of finding them too analytical, looking too far into things and all of that. So I wonder if that is how he would be seeing her now, if that makes sense, hopefully. It's not good long term, and Demi is understanding of Wilmer. They need to have a level of emotional detachment for marriage. I'm very curious to see where the emotions would be in this one, because, I mean, obviously we'll see. I guess I should stop talking there, like, because we haven't seen a whole lot if they do have that emotional detachment. And also, it's not like they have been married and they're never going to anyway. Demi may feel misunderstood and Wilmer may feel threatened and insignificant. Yeah, we did see like he feels more submissive, or he's the submissive one here, which I feel like would just be due to Demi's success and all of that, making Wilmer feel quite insignificant compared to her. They communicate well besides differing views, and Demi sees Wilmer as self-centered, and Wilmer sees Demi as too rational. I think we did see that Demi seeing Wilmer as selfish again before. Wilmer's Sun, Trine Demi's Mars. They are supportive of each other and there is healthy competitiveness. I'm curious to see if we'll see more on this, because what we're seeing so far, it doesn't seem like the difference in success is doing the best. Neither feels blocked by the other, and Wilmer admires Demi's drive and courage. They both can rely on each other when they are feeling demotivated, and they can deal with challenges together. They encourage the other's goals and visions, and Demi expresses her desire for Wilmer frequently. They express themselves in a straightforward manner. Wilmer's Sun conjunct Demi's Saturn. Wilmer's vitality diminishes after being with Demi. I'm not really surprised, because I'm trying to like figure out the timeline in my head, because that of when that 70s show was, and like compared to like Demi's success and when she was successful and all of that, I'm pretty sure it was before, like obviously before, but just how long before, because potentially there was that moment where Wilmer was quite successful and maybe known, and then, you know, kind of Demi comes up and kind of like takes that away from her, that his sort of vitality in a way, if that makes sense. Wilmer is resentful of Demi and they need to make time for fun. They can overcome obstacles together and they're able to depend on each other, which I guess it is a positive thing that they are able to deal with challenges, because we've seen this repeated a few times already. The relationship strengthens over the years, and Demi needs to learn to stop being so critical. Demi has the tendency to repress Wilmer. I mean, again, I'm a jukebox record player now, like just repeating itself. Demi can be threatened by Wilmer's individuality. I assume this will be in terms of like his intelligence and stuff like that, which we've been seeing. They both feel they can have a stable relationship, and Wilmer needs to learn to not be so sensitive to criticism. Now for the intermission. This video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry readings on my Etsy store, both basic and detailed. The basic one is very simple to understand. It's not overwhelming at all. It's pretty good for those that are beginners to astrology, just getting the head around astrology, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed one is just like what I do on my channel, just a lot of insight and interpretation on your chart. So if you are interested in that and everything else astrology and tarot related, readings and gifts, then definitely check out my Etsy store. Links are below. I'm always releasing new things, so definitely check it out if you're interested. You can even just favorite the store just to show your support for free. Thanks for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for Moon. We have Demi's Moon in Taurus and Wilmer's Moon in Cancer. They both desire a secure domestic life, and Wilmer accommodates Demi's needs. Demi appreciates Wilmer's emotional nurturing, and Wilmer feels Demi can be too direct sometimes, which we have been seeing like the whole straightforward thing. And I think the fact that we've been seeing a lot of misunderstandings, I feel like could be an indicator of, you know, just like speaking your mind, not really filtering your thoughts and everything, and, you know, not like cohesively. I mean, we have seen that they express themselves in a more straightforward way, so that is like kind of repeated in a way, seems to be more on Demi's end. But I guess I find it also interesting, considering like Demi appreciates Wilmer's emotional nurturing and the whole wanting to secure domestic life. Plus with the age gap, it's all a bit of a concerning connection or combination. Demi's Moon overlaid in Wilmer's 12th house. There is a lack of trust. Demi feels that Wilmer is hiding something, and Wilmer senses Demi's suspicions. There is no logical base for this lack of trust and paranoia, and difficult for them to deal with wounded feelings. So potentially, like we've been seeing, like they're able to go through things together. Potentially that could be on a more practical level. Wilmer's moon overlaid in Demi's 12th house. So this is a repeated overlay, just inverted. So everything from just before further emphasized, but also Wilmer feels that Demi is hiding something, and Demi senses Wilmer's suspicions. Demi's moon is squared Wilmer's Mercury. It's emotionally challenging, and they both need to learn to listen. Demi has a hard time getting Wilmer to listen. I wonder, because seeing that Wilmer feels Demi's too direct, and we did see that he's a bit sensitive to criticism, potentially he is just sensitive to anything like honest or a bit more on the harsher side rather than like something funny, you know, if that makes sense. Potentially Wilmer just doesn't, you know, want to listen or have like serious conversations maybe. That's what I'm leaning towards, since we are seeing Demi has a hard time getting him to listen. Demi feels Wilmer doesn't value her opinions or respect her intellectually, and Wilmer feels Demi is too sensitive to criticism. Wilmer feels frustrated with Demi. Demi's moon is sextile Wilmer's Venus. Demi feels that Wilmer will always be there for her, and Demi has a desire to have a family with Wilmer. They care for each other in difficult emotional circumstances, and Wilmer brings beauty to Demi's life. They might be too accommodating to each other, and shared social life is important, and they enjoy creating a nice home environment. I wonder if they actually ended up living together, considering we've already seen like a few like domestic points and all of that. I guess I am curious because like from what we're seeing on Demi, she seems to take him very seriously. I wonder if maybe we will see in the reading, I guess when the wall dropped, the wall broke and all of that, for her to, I guess have her feelings and all of that deteriorate. I wonder if we will see that throughout this reading, or if it was genuinely just like opening her eyes, you could say. Demi's moon trine Wilmer's Mars. They're instinctively drawn to each other, and there is mutual attraction. It's a lively relationship, and Demi nurtures and feeds Wilmer's ego. Not surprisingly to see with the whole like intelligence stuff, she seems to really put him up on a pedestal there. Wilmer teaches Demi how to be brave and confident, and they both learn about their instincts and needs here. Expressing feelings is spontaneous here. It seems to be a bit more on Demi's end, and arguing is not uncommon, which I guess isn't shocking to see because we've seen already a few times like that they have misunderstandings and everything. Wilmer's moon trine Demi's Pluto. It's an intense meeting, and they both will need to let go of fake personas. They both bring truth and change in social and political areas together. I think this is the first one where I'm like, it's not really about the charity, is it? It's about, I guess, like, it's more so post their relationship that their relationship reflects a sort of like truth and change that needs to happen, I guess in more like social areas rather than political. But in my head, this isn't like really charity. It's just reflecting what their relationship represents in like modern times, you could say. They have a strong bond, and they're involved in organizations together. They can solve problems in their community, and they can go through difficulties together, which we are seeing again. They seem to be able to really go through tough times together, which I assume was like a gluing factor for the both of them. They can both transform each other. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Demi's Mercury in Leo and Wilmer's Mercury in Aquarius. These are sister polarity signs. Also fixed signs as well. Wilmer doesn't understand how Demi takes things personally, and Wilmer's interest in gossiping tires Demi. I feel like the way I'm interpreting this, it would be in terms of like interest in gossiping, literally gossip columns, like whatever, TMZ and stuff like that. The media, you could say. I wonder, because he seems to be a bit more invested in Demi's success and a bit more, feeling insignificant in comparison to Demi. So I wonder if that whole sort of dynamic, that issue Wilmer has with himself, honestly, I wonder if that's what really ties Demi. They have common ground, and they share positive and outgoing communication. Demi's Mercury overlaid in Wilmer's third house. Demi is more chatty around Wilmer, and Wilmer will enjoy conversations with Demi, and Demi enjoys long conversations with Wilmer. Wilmer's Mercury overlaid in Demi's 6th house. Wilmer's mind is stable around Demi, and Wilmer communicates with Demi practically. Demi thinks that Wilmer is reliable, and Demi sees Wilmer as a stable companion. We are seeing again pretty much. Demi's Mercury, Trine Wilmer's Mars. Demi stimulates Wilmer's mind and Demi energizes Wilmer. Demi helps Wilmer develop his ideas and they work well together, and Wilmer teaches Demi how to be more reasonable. So we keep seeing the whole sort of element that Wilmer is a bit more of the practical one, a bit more of like the intelligent one, so to speak. They both move forward in this relationship. I mean, maybe they did. Because from my understanding, Demi was already quite successful and she has kept doing things to pretty much keep herself like relevant in the public eye. Whereas with Wilmer, I don't think this really did a whole lot for him. Nothing good anyway. I feel like for Wilmer, this is not moving backwards rather than forwards. They enjoy debating together and Wilmer helps Demi to problem solve. There's healthy intellectual competition and Demi takes Wilmer's words personally. So it feels like with communication, like we've pretty much seen on both ends now that they both take what the other says quite seriously. It seems like Wilmer does have a bit more of an issue with actually listening, but it seems like both of them are a bit sensitive to the other's words. Wilmer's Mercury conjunct Demi's Saturn. Demi influences Wilmer to be more productive. I mean, the only way I can see this is he feels kind of like pressured to do something being around Demi. There is difficult communication, not surprisingly, so we've kept seeing that. Wilmer is not comfortable talking to Demi, and there are practical conversations, so it's very weird. Wilmer, we did see like he enjoys conversation with Demi. It seems like maybe potentially about less serious stuff, because it seems like there's an issue like getting him to listen and an uncomfortableness of talking. Like I'm just imagining just someone who just wants to avoid serious conversation, like confrontations in general. Just, you know, I think we all know someone that is very, you know, tries to avoid any serious conversations like with their life. And it seems like Wilmer is potentially one of those. Demi criticizes Wilmer and Demi makes Wilmer self-conscious. Yeah, it's like being around Demi is knocking his self-esteem, which is weird because it seems like Demi wants to boost that and she seems to really admire him, but it seems like her success is really knocking him back. There's mutual respect in the beginning, and Demi feels threatened by Wilmer. Demi acts as a teacher with Wilmer, which, I mean, yeah, we did seeing how she influences him to be more productive and all of that, so that's there. Wilmer's Mercury squared Demi's Pluto. They have frequent intellectual arguments and they both may hold onto issues for too long. Wilmer is overwhelmed by this dynamic. His self-esteem is not doing the best. It seems like that's in the way he is overwhelmed and really struggling here. Wilmer wants to understand Demi deeply and Wilmer feels controlled by Demi. Demi wants to know Wilmer's secrets and Demi tries to control Wilmer's thought. It's just very complicated, isn't it? Because it seems like I don't know much about Wilmer, but from what Demi seems to be quite open about her own struggles and like the sort of, I guess if it's for the lack of better words, like the complexes she has had based off like the way her life started and like her upbringing and like being in the show business as a child and all of that. It seems like she would have certain complexes. It sucks. I think no one wins here, it seems like. So now it's time for Venus. We have Demi's Venus in Virgo and Wilmer's Venus in Pisces. These are sister polarity signs and also mutable signs. Opposites attract, which I didn't point out directly. The Venus signs, first of all, we're seeing now. Sister polarity signs we're seeing again. Also the Sun and Mercury, except the Moon. It's all been like the opposite signs, so very much opposites. What they first love is what they eventually hate, and Demi appreciates Wilmer's gentleness. Demi finds Wilmer to be evasive of conversation. Like any serious, I'm just imagining just someone, you know, about to be confronted and they're just like running away. That's the sort of like what I'm seeing with him. Demi helps ground Wilmer, and Wilmer teaches Demi how to have faith in love. Oh, this is painful. I don't like this. Demi's Venus overlaid in Wilmer's 4th house. Demi feels the need to protect herself from Wilmer. It's, I guess, hard to say, at what point, maybe, because it totally could have been in the beginning, and then she, grew a liking towards him, and then that sort of desire came up towards the end of the relationship. That is there though. Demi has a strong attraction to Wilmer, and Wilmer senses Demi's hesitancy. Yuck. There's a strong magnetism, and uncertainty and tension characterizes the relationship. Wilmer's Venus overlaid in Demi's 8th house. Wilmer is captivated by Demi, and it's a transformative relationship. Wilmer is willing to do anything for Demi, and Demi has fantasies specific to Wilmer, which we did see the whole strong attraction thing. I wonder if maybe she did watch his TV show, and from that developed a bit of a crush, you could say. And also Wilmer willing to do anything for Demi. It is just very interesting, again, in an interesting addition to what we have seen before with him nurturing Demi and her really appreciating that and all of that, and creating that secure domestic life together. Their Venus signs are opposite to each other, so there's a difference in values, and decision making is difficult. They have different social backgrounds. I'm not really sure where the both of them are from. I know Demi, obviously, she had her different, social background. I'm pretty sure, her family was, a bit on the poorer side, and that's why, the whole, show business was very important for her to do. The only thing I've heard of with Wilmer, I'm pretty sure he immigrated to America, I want to say. Or am I confusing him with the character he has on the 70s show? I'm pretty sure there is something like that. I don't know if he had the same experience of the show business and everything, because that is a very different social background, so to speak. It's a very niche sort of background to have for someone. You are, forced to work as a child because of your family's financial state. Arguments over money occur, and there's a difference in aesthetic taste. Demi's Venus conjunct Wilmer's Mars. Intensity does not fade, and they will always remember each other. I mean, I'm sure they do now, because again, they are a very controversial couple. I think a lot of people look back on. And obviously, I think for Demi, this would have been a significant relationship. I'm pretty sure they were both together for a long time. So I assume for Wilmer, it would also have some kind of significance. They have petty arguments, and Demi attracts Wilmer with her charm. I mean, which we did see that, he is literally charmed by Demi, I think we saw. They know how to push each other's buttons. It seems like that. There is a bit of irritation here, isn't there? Demi's Venus square Wilmer's Neptune. There is extremes of trusting, which again, I feel like this is going back to, I probably should say, I mean, I've kind of said it before, I don't really know a whole lot about Wilmer compared to Demi. But I assume this extremes of trusting thing would again link back to, I guess, Demi and how, I guess her, the complexes and the mental struggles she has with relationships, which she has shared before. I don't know if she specifically mentioned about the points we've mentioned here, but, extremes of trusting is generally something that comes with having, struggles with relationships because of things you have been through. Hopefully I said that made sense, and I said that well and all good. Demi needs to make sure she falls in love with the real Wilmer, not her illusion. We did see the whole having specific fantasies to Wilmer, so I don't know if it was the TV show or maybe just him as an actor and all of that. Wilmer needs to be careful to keep promises and not make huge ones, and Wilmer has a hard time dealing with Demi because she doesn't want to see reality. Interesting. The only thing I can see with this one is we did see how, I mean, it was on both ends, so they both have this lack of trust, this paranoia and everything. They're suspicious of the other. Wilmer's Venus square Demi's Mars. There's jealousy and possessiveness. Yeah, what I literally just mentioned, the whole jealousy, the paranoia and all of that, being suspicious of the other we saw earlier. Wilmer sees Demi as dominant. Yeah. I mean, we did literally the only like dominant submissive thing we did see is like, you know, very aligned. Demi sees Wilmer as seductive with no substance. Wilmer's Venus opposite Demi's Jupiter. It's a promising relationship and they are generous with each other. Both have a problem with promising more than they can give, which we did see on Wilmer's end. He needs to be careful of that, so that is there. They share an optimistic life together, which it seems like they did while they were together. They did seem to, because we did see like a few like sort of domestic factors and all of that. Wilmer's Venus sextile Demi's Uranus. Demi likes to keep the relationship exciting and they share unusual interests. They're an unconventional couple. That is one way to put it. Wilmer is drawn to Demi's unique qualities and Demi feels appreciated by Wilmer. Demi finds Wilmer charming and attractive. Wilmer's Venus sextile Demi's Neptune. Wilmer is enchanted by Demi and they are tolerant of each other. They prefer to see each other as a fantasy. The only way we have seen it is with Demi. So I wonder if maybe that is where the sort of like, you know, her eyes opened up, is when that sort of like, you know, the fantasy slipped away, if that makes sense. Like when that sort of vision was going away, that's when she opened her eyes. They share spiritual interests and Wilmer may expect too much from Demi. Demi is easily charmed by Wilmer. Wilmer's Venus trine Demi's Pluto. It's emotionally fulfilling, which, I mean, we did see that there are certain things for both of them, it seems like, that do work for the other in like a more psychological, subconscious way. So I feel like in that way there would be, you know, some emotional fulfillment from that. It's not likely to grow stale, and Wilmer sees Demi as a soulmate. They both enjoy growing from this relationship and they want to have children together. Again, another domestic thing, which is very interesting. So now it's time for Mars. We have Demi's Mars in Gemini and Wilmer's Mars in Virgo. These are both ruled by the planet Mercury. It's a restless but experimental relationship and they both tend to be picky with each other. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. I feel like that's been sprinkled in throughout this reading, the whole pickiness of it, everything. Demi's Mars overlaid in Wilmer's 12th house. Wilmer feels uncomfortable around Demi and Demi brings out a hidden side in Wilmer, which I feel like that would be the whole, I don't know, the jealousy thing he has when it comes to her like career and her status and everything. Because otherwise it doesn't seem like there is anything else Demi could specifically herself bring out in Wilmer. The relationship is formed from having to protect one another. Yikes. Demi feels drained by Wilmer and Wilmer wants to protect Demi, and Wilmer sees the more fragile part of Demi. I'm not really surprised by that bit, considering like we did see Demi seems to really appreciate the sort of like nurturing that Wilmer can provide and like the protection in a way. Wilmer's Mars overlaid in Demi's first house. Wilmer inspires Demi to be more brave and Wilmer encourages Demi to be proud of who she is. Wilmer is blunt with Demi, so he can be blunt but she can't. There seems to be, he's not great at communication, I feel like. So both their Mars signs are squared to each other, so there's a lack of basic understanding of each other and they push each other, and it is difficult long term. Not surprisingly so difficult long term, like spoiler alert, they're not together, but also the lack of basic understanding of each other. You could kind of see this as going back to, they have a lot of, like literally their sign combinations are the opposite. And we did see the whole opposite attract thing, obviously. So there seems to be, you know, a misunderstanding with that rather than like complementary differences, if that makes sense. Demi's Mars opposite Wilmer's Neptune. They have the opposite approaches to taking risks and they argue about the differences between their wants. Demi's Mars trine Wilmer's Pluto. It is intense and they accomplish a lot together. There's lots of primitive energy. Yeah, this is a very interesting. I feel like if I were like a psychologist or something, this would be a very interesting like couple to look into in terms of like as individuals, but how that meshes together, if that makes sense. Because I feel like on Wilmer's end there is obviously like the ego and everything with Demi's success and all of that, which is a very primitive thing to be like threatened by someone's success and all of that, very basic human behavior. But also with like Demi, how sort of things in the past have affected her in this relationship. I feel like that is also very like primitive and like raw human energy, you could say, psychological. They enjoy the power play between them. Very interesting. It doesn't seem like Wilmer's too obsessed of being the more submissive, insignificant one. They both go for big changes here, not surprisingly so, and there's a potential for both to get possessive. And I mean, they both certainly have their motives. Demi helps bring out Wilmer's subconscious to the surface. Yeah, I would see that, definitely. Because we did literally see how she brings out a hidden side of Wilmer, and previous to that, we did see a whole lot of, it seems like Wilmer is genuinely, like, feeling insignificant around Demi due to, like, you know, the media and her success and all of that. Wilmer's Mars conjunct Demi's Jupiter. They're a lucky couple, and there's healthy competition. They have lots of fun together, and Wilmer feels energized by Demi. They feel stronger as a team than by themselves, which I feel like if you are in this relationship, I wouldn't be shocked, because we have seen quite a decent amount of, like, you know, they're able to go through difficulties and like challenges together and all of that. Like, that has kept repeating itself. They encourage the other to engage in reckless behavior. Wilmer's Mars trine Demi's Uranus. Wilmer feels free around Demi, and it's an unusual meeting. I imagine it would have been. They respect each other's independence. I mean, I feel like Demi would Wilmer, but maybe he is happy with her having like independence. It's just the success does get to him a bit. Wilmer is not a fan of Demi's lack of boundaries. Wilmer's Mars trine Demi's Neptune. There is a lack of boundaries, which we did literally just see, so Wilmer's not obsessed. I just wonder where these lack of boundaries are, because we haven't really seen anything like that here before. There is role playing, so I wonder if maybe they met on set somewhere, because we did see how they both need to let go of like fake personas for this to work. So I wonder if that is literal. Wilmer is more dominant. I mean, the only way he seems to like be more dominant is in terms of like his age. Otherwise, not so much. Demi strengthens Wilmer's ego, not surprisingly so, and Wilmer feels confident around Demi. I assume in those moments where she is like strengthening his ego, otherwise he seems to not feel super flash and confident around her. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'd be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one. I know this was definitely a heavier reading, and hopefully I did this video justice, and obviously, you know, share your thoughts below if you guys interpreted this any differently at all. If you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings weekly. And besides that, give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.